I got made redundant from that job. Then I worked for a large retail company, and I left that company to go and do the job that I really loved, and that is I worked for the British Dyslexia Association. This was the best thing that I ever did. I was able to work for them for 5.5 years, where I learned a hell of a lot about my dyslexia, but also supported many dyslexic people. And now I work for myself. I'm an independent consultant. I class myself as a dyslexic entrepreneur. I have 5 companies, including the SEND group that delivers CPD to teachers, the LVA group that works with Microsoft and is a Microsoft partner for businesses, uh, Send International that works in India and delivers training in India. I have the Dyslexia Show, which is the UK's first national exhibition purely dedicated to dyslexia, and a few other things I do with comics and a few other things. But for me, without the technology I'm going to show you today, I cannot do my job. I need this technology every day, and I use it every day. Now, when we look at me as a person with a disability, or more me with a difference, Microsoft actually say there is 1 billion people in the world with a disability. So there's 1 billion people in the world with a disability. Now, lots of us will have a disability. Lots of us will get a disability. 83% of us will get a disability at working age. 70% of disability is hidden. There is 6.4 to 6.7 million people in the UK that have some severity of dyslexia. We know that over 50% of the prison population have a literacy difficult, but over 40% of entrepreneurs have a dyslexic tendency. This is really interesting when we look at the world today. We know that actually, and we could say that dyslexia is genetic, but we can also know that actually that we have this ecological system where we have to have pros and cons in everyone's life, and that's where technology can really change people's lives. I didn't realize this slide was still there. That's the slide I've just done. For me, Microsoft is kind of all about this independent learning. With this independent learning, this independent working concept. So we are looking at accessibility in many areas. We're looking at it in mental health, neurodiversity, mobility, hearing, visual learning. Now, if you want to take anything away today, take away this web address, aka.ms/accessibilitysway. This web address here, if you have any child, any student, anyone that you're working with that has a condition that you don't know if Microsoft has a tool for. And remember, 99% of these tools are all free. They are available at aka.ms/accessibilitysway. And just to give you a flavor, mental health, we're building into Microsoft Teams an anxiety buffer so we don't have screen fatigue. We're also building in analytics into Microsoft 365. In neurodiversity, we're hiring people with autism to support with our learning. In mobility, we have eye gaze built into Windows 10. We're using closed captions for hearing and subtitles. We have colorblind features in Windows 10 for visual stress. And of course, we have the learning tools feature. But I now would love you to use the chatbots and answer me a question, right? When we look at accessibility, when we look at this, and I'm going to jump back to a slide because it's not on my screen. When we think about mobility, do we think about gaming as an issue? Well, when we think about it, so what I want to ask you is, how many of you know that Microsoft own Xbox? So you just put a Y or an N in the chat box format if you know that Microsoft own Xbox format. So we've got lots of Ys, good couple of no's. It's good to have a bit of feedback here. I can see it on my screen. That's brilliant. So that's excellent to see. So we've got a good number there, you know that. Now, if you think about mobility, you think about gaming. Doesn't matter if we're gaming on an Xbox, a PlayStation, a Switch, even a Nintendo Wii, we need thumbs. Thumbs are that integral part of our life. But what happens if we don't have thumbs? What happens if we don't game? What happens if we can't use our thumbs? What happens if we can't use our hands? Well, Microsoft created the world's first accessible game controller. This allows anyone with a physical disability to game with lightweight joysticks, sensors, and switches. It's a fully customizable device that sits on a wheelchair. It's amazing for our learners. This works with Windows 10 and the Xbox. The reason I show you this is because this is a device that has been designed from the ground up to support people with accessibility. I'm going to ask you now to write in that box how much you think this costs. So tell me how much you think this costs to buy. So I love it. Someone's put loads: 50, 60, 70, 300, 2,000, 350, 240, 500, hundreds, thousands, 2,000s, at least 50, 2,000s, 150, hundreds, several hundreds, £50, £250, no idea. Like, this is brilliant. £5. I like that person there. You're very optimistic. So Lisa, who has done it, she is the closest. It's £74.99. £74.99p. This device is an accessible device at an accessible price. That is the idea of it. It's designed to be accessible. Yes, the switches are more expensive. They're not made by Microsoft, but that is a price that has been designed for anyone to use, and it's fully customizable. It can work on it. It is an amazing. £74.99. It's a brilliant price. I love how someone's just wrote that in. And that's, for me, this device has also been designed to be supportive with our learners. There's a brilliant advert. If you just search for Microsoft Adaptive Xbox Controller, or Xbox Adaptive Controller, which is the name of it, and look for, and if you just put TV ad, in the Super Bowl 2 years ago, we had this as an advert in the Super Bowl. It's not going to make us millions of dollars. It's there to change people's lives, and that's the point of it. Not only is the device accessible, the box is accessible. The reason I do that is because I wanted to show you that concept there, that we can, as a company, we are looking at that whole aspect of accessibility. We are one of many companies, one of a small number of companies that has a chief accessibility officer who is deaf. So she is looking at, Jenny Leigh Fleury is our chief accessibility officer, and she's looking at this concept of supporting accessibility from the ground up. It's just amazing to see. Now, we're going to talk today about Microsoft 365. Now, if you don't know this, Microsoft 365 is free for every school. If you have it in school, it is free for you. And of course, we're talking about the online instance. This is talking about going to a website called Office.com, and this is free for every school. And I said it's online. It works on your iPad. It works on your Android device. It works on your Chromebook. It works on your Windows Surface device or your Windows device. And it can happen in any location. Now, that slide was written 2 years ago, and that last point there is so important now, that any location. And it is all accessible. It is. And when we look at it, we look at the layout, the ribbons, the graphics, the tools, and of course the features, which we're going to talk about today. And the reason I'm pushing this slide on, because the small problem with when I press a certain button, it jumps the wrong slide. I've just jumped to the wrong slide. I do apologize. When we look at this, we need to look at the inclusive classroom message. Now, we're going to talk about reading, writing, and communication. We're not probably going to go into this as much as I'd like to, because we've only got probably about another 30 minutes, 25 minutes. So some of this I'm going to show you, and I want to demo a few things to you. But when we look at inclusive classroom, we are looking at reading and writing, and mainly reading and writing, and a bit of communication. Maths we probably won't touch on today. Microsoft created an idea. We know that people with dyslexia, we know that dyslexia is the biggest hidden disability in the world. About 17 million people plus have some severity of dyslexia. Learning Tools was created as a free tool that was hacked into OneNote. We do this every year. We hack ideas into our products. Now, when we hacked it in, it was only hacked into OneNote. It's now available in multiple products, and what it comes down to is it's now called Immersive Reader. And this has text to speech, it has synchronized highlighting, it has visual stress aids, has grammar options, real-time translation, picture dictionary, maths to speech, not math as I used to say, dictation, formatting, and of course, brand new subscription service, which is so cool. So what is this? What is this all about? Now, I am going to move over to the demo. So if you do need captions, please use the web address at the top of the screen, or the web address that I've put in the chat earlier in the chat. I'm just going to paste it back in there. If you need captions, use that link for me, please. I am now going to move to my demo. Now I'm going to bring my demo screen in here. Now, before I show you Word, I just want to talk about something. If anyone hasn't seen this before, this is Office.com. If you have Microsoft 365, go to it. This is the ideal place for you to support your students. They do not need to install anything. Everything is here, and it is so easy to use when you just have to think about the way you use it. Now, I'm just going to tell you that on the left-hand side here are all my apps. Now, the bottom app is Microsoft Forms. That has accessibility in it. That has been designed to support learners. We also have Sway there. Sway has been designed to send information to people which is accessible. It can be used screen readers. Microsoft Teams, which is our communication hub, has Immersive Reader in it. It has closed captions in it. It has invertive technology in it to support learners. SharePoint, which is that S there, this S from the bottom here, where I'm using my little mouse here. The S there, SharePoint, has the WAG standards at 2.1. OneNote is your digital notebook. It's that digital exercise book that allows you to write in any location. It's very fluid, but it has voice recordings in it, has insert pictures in it, it has dictation, it has Immersive Reader into it. OneDrive, which is your 1 terabyte of storage, has Immersive Reader coming to it. Outlook has Immersive Reader to it, but as well, it has calendars that are so accessible. PowerPoint is just cram-packed with stuff that I will hopefully show you in a bit. Excel and of course Word. That's what we're going to talk about today. So this is Word Online. I've been sent this document by my geography teacher. I've told you I'm dyslexic. I can't read it very well. So how do I do it? Now, yes, I could try. It will not work very well scanning a C pen over it. But you know what? At this point in time, it's not printed, so I don't need that bit. But what I do need is I do need to be able to use similar technology. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the View tab, and there is the Immersive Reader button. The Immersive Reader button takes me out of my editing view and puts me into my immersive view. Now, I'm hoping you're going to be able to hear this. I'm just going to turn my volume right up. So in a second, we'll press the play button. But first, I want to tell you is that this is designed for me as an individual. This allows me to go into the text preferences, make it bigger or smaller, which will help not just our dyslexic, it will help our people with visual impairment, maybe people with different difficulties. Spacing is really important. Having a dyslexia-friendly font. Why is Comic Sans dyslexia-friendly? Well, it's got a proper G, it's got a proper A. They are really important. We do have a massive debate in the UK about visual stress, but yes, I can change background colors. It doesn't help everyone. It helps some people. It's a real benefit tool. For me, if it works, let's use it. And of course, this is all free, and this is available today. Just for argument's sake, these are Erling colors. Now, you may not know it, that actually bold, italic, and underlined text can be hard for some people to read. We can turn this off. So we now know that you can see there that the top line's bold, it's now turned off. That's beneficial. And that is our text preferences. That's changing it for our individual, for you as an individual teacher or for you as an individual student. We can also go to our grammar options and do syllable division, breaking words into syllable like physical, geography, landforms, mountains, valleys. Really powerful. But I can also do more with my grammar. I can pick up my nouns, my verbs, my adjectives, my adverbs, and also, you know what, nouns in blue, not the best color. Let's put them in purple. How do I know they're there? Well, they're there, but I have no idea what they are because I know what nouns are, but I don't know about verbs, adjectives, and adverbs. But I may be colorblind, and I can now show labels on top of them, which is also powerful as well. It also helps some of our dyslexic learners, of course, as well, which is really inclusive and powerful. This is amazing to see. I'm going to answer that question now that Robert's put. Do these features work on iPad? Yes, they do, and I'll explain that. And it's just amazing to be there. On top of that, I can focus line. I can remove them distractions. I can use like that kind of reading ruler concept, which is really useful. But what happens if I have communication difficulties? I have a student that really cannot read that word, even if I do all these features. I have Pitch Dictionary using board marker. And this is free, where I can click on the word called and there's 4 pictures, or I can click on the word geography or mountains or valleys or even rivers. This is so useful. That's an empowering tool for our learners. But the biggest thing, of course, is the text to speech. Now, I'm hoping you can hear this, and you may not be able to hear this very well, but we're going to play it anyway.
The study of Earth's landforms is called physical geography. Landforms can be mountains and valleys. They can also be glacier or rivers.
I'm hoping you heard that as best you can. I know you will have seen the synchronization. That voice there is amazing to hear. Yes, someone said yes, they can hear. That's good. I like it when people gave me some feedback. So that voice is a natural speaking voice. There's nothing wrong with computerized voices, really. But the one thing that Microsoft has done is we have looked at that concept of voices and how can we make that better. So we have made that better for 2 reasons. A, for accessibility. So I can now use this. I can now use this for students. Jim, can you make sure, or Julia, Nathan's question I answer later. I've kind of read it but not read it, and I'll explain that one in a second. But I'll come back to this. That voice has been designed to be used in many ways, not just for text to speech, but also for for entertainment and gaming. It's so important it is. The other thing about it, what it is that we can change it also to a female voice.
Rivers. Landforms are sometimes called physical features.
I can also change the speed and make it faster.
Features. It is important for students to know about the physical geography of Earth.
But for me, the important thing about it is not only that, we have the synchronization. Synchronization is like that that finger concept that we have in primary school, where we're using our finger, which is so important because now it makes it kinesthetic for our learners. There's one other feature I want to show you here. So say you've also got a student with English additional language. In the last tab here, the reading options, we can now pick out different languages. So if we have a child that's come from that can speak Dutch, we can turn this into Dutch, and we also have text to speech in Dutch.
De studie van de landvormen van de aarde wordt fysieke geografie genoemd.
Which is so empowering. But what else we can do is this: if we have a child, say, that has autism and basically needs text to speech, but doesn't like that voice, what we can do is we could actually try and give them an Irish accent.
The study of Earth's landforms is called physical geography. Landforms can be mountains and valleys,
which can be empowering to some learners. We even have an Australian accent as well, which is kind of cool as well. I like this accent.
The study of Earth's landforms is called physical geography.
And I hope you heard the differences there. For me, that is empowering. And these are features that just turn up. And that's really empowering. Now, that is all about reading. Now, what I just want to I'm just going to go back to my Word document because I just want to point something out to you. So I'm just going to go back to this slide here. If you have ever seen this icon here, this is called the Edge browser. This is available for Mac, it's available for Windows, it's available for iOS and for Android. This is the Microsoft Edge browser. And I'm in the Edge browser now. Now, what I can do is I can go to any web page. Let's go to this one. I have no idea what it's about. I haven't read it. I am dyslexic. How do I read it? I've gone to the web page. I can press the right mouse button here. And there is my read aloud button.
Protocol rule with Fergie never going to happen. Naomi Adedekin one day ago.
I have no idea what's going on.
Princess and refused to obey key royal protocol rule with Fergie never going to happen. 012.
And you can see now.
0. HQ. Click to expand. Princess and deliberately ignored royal protocol with Sarah Ferguson, even though her sister-in-law outranked her, royal commentators have claimed. The Princess Royal was the only senior member of the royal family who was very...
So sorry, I'm just listening to that now. So, but you can see there that that's all about Fergie and how that is now reading out loud. Now, what I can do is if I just go back to another, I'm going to try and find another one that actually has it. Let's go to this one here about Eamon and let's see if it's there. If you look in my address bar next to the little star, there is also a little icon here, which is exactly the same as the Immersive Reader icon. Now, what this does is this takes that whole web page, removes all the distractions, and does all them features that I've done. So by pressing the right mouse button, it's really powerful. I'm reading some of the comments as well. Being dyslexic, I shouldn't do that because doing that thing. So it's just so useful for our learners that we can do this. So we can now use research as that empowering tool. Now that is reading, and that reading is there, but I just want to touch on writing very quickly because the one benefit that Microsoft has, it has this button here called Dictation. Now, for me, Dictation is a tool that I have to use every day. I'm now using Dictation and hoping it's going to work for me. Full stop, new line. I can use commands such as punctuation, comma, and commands like exclamation mark, question mark, new line, to use and manipulate my document, full stop, new line. Bold. Things I need to remember when I'm dictating, full stop. So as I clicked out there, it stopped it. So I'm just going to delete that. Full stop. Start list. Speak clearly. New line. Think before you speak. New line. Speak audibly. New line. Use a good microphone. Full stop. New line. We also have a new feature. Not only does this, exit dictation. So what it's done there is turn it off, but I wanted to turn it back on and just show you this. In here, I've got this feature here that AI can turn on profanity filter, so I can turn that on or off. I also have now that I will be able to turn commands on off. I can also turn on auto filter. So what this means, if you're doing a document that you need to swear in, you can turn this off. And what happens is that that document there means that it will not star out swear words. I will not swear as we are streaming this document, so I won't test it out. I did test it out yesterday, and it did work quite well. That it puts stars in if you say a swear word. But like I said, here in the help tab, we can do all the punctuation, we can do all the editing. I can delete words, I can delete sentences, I can create lists, I can do editing formats, which is so empowering. That feature is coming to Windows 10. You can press Windows and H, so Windows and the H key, and dictation will work today. But that feature means that soon we're going to be able to do more and more with our computers. It's so empowering. On top of that, we have a brand new feature called transcribe. What you can do with this is you can have a conversation with someone and it will pick up that transcription. It is. I'm going to try it. It is a preview thing. So, Julia, are you still there? Do you want to unmute yourself a second? I put her on the spot now because I didn't say I was going to do this.
Well, no, that's good.
Or GM1. Ah, there you are, Julia. Right, Julia, I'm going to ask you some questions, okay?
Yes,
How are you, Julia? Are you okay?
I'm okay, thank you.
What is your job at Scanning Pens?
I'm head of education at Scanning Pens.
And what is the weather like where you are today?
It started at -3 degrees. It's warming up now.
Thank you very much, Julia. Let's see if this works. So what that's going to do now, thank you, Julia. You can mute yourself if you want to. So what's going to happen now, hopefully, fingers crossed, that is listening to that audio, it's picked it up, and actually it's not done too badly, it is. It hasn't done everything. What it's done is it's thought it's the same speaker. So you can see there that it's got speaker 1 and it's got speaker. So what it hasn't done speaker 1 or speaker 2, but it has got that, like, okay, yes, okay. How are you, Julia? I said that. Are you okay? I'm okay, thank you. Said that. What job do you at Scanning Pens? I'm head of education. So it's not done pretty badly for what it is. It hasn't created that concept. That is really inclusive. It's a really powerful tool for our learners, getting information out from the teacher, and transcription. How this is working is just so empowering for me. We also have other features like Editor that does things like that helps with spell checking, acronyms. It does predictive text. It's such a powerful tool. These are new features that are coming into Word Online. And this is the thing that I always say to people. Microsoft is a cloud-first, mobile-first company. We are looking at cloud technology first. We will put these features into cloud before it goes into desktop. Cloud technology for schools is free. Desktop you have to pay for. That is how empowering it is. I'm just going to go back to my presentation. I'm going to try and give it another 10 minutes. I've got one more thing I want to show you, but we have got here that these features are in many products. They're in Microsoft Teams. If you're using Teams at school, you press the 3 little dots or the ellipses, you get, or the ... whichever one you want to say. You will get Immersive Reader in chat, in chat, in posts, in conversations, and also in channels. It's really empowering for our learners. If you have Microsoft 365, you can get hold of Flipgrid. Flipgrid is a free tool. It's a third-party tool. It's owned by Microsoft, and that has Immersive Reader built in as well, which is a really good tool for flipping the learning and for student voice. It's a free tool. Check out Flipgrid. If you're using Minecraft unfortunately is a paid-for product, but Minecraft Education, part of your A3 license, comes in to allows you to use Immersive Reader. But not only that, we added also words like creeper, so the word creeper, which is a Minecraft word, into the picture dictionary, which is really empowering for our learners. Microsoft Forms, which is designed for getting information out of students and out of parents, for education customers only, has Immersive Reader. That is empowering. If you're using Microsoft Teams assignments, now in the assignments tab, this came out in October 2019, the Immersive Reader button's in the top corner, so it will read out the questions or the assignments to your user, which is empowering. And on top of that, it's also in Microsoft Whiteboard. So if you're using touch devices like the Surface Go or the Surface Pro, for education customers, you have Immersive Reader. This feature is now also available for third-party products. You're going to see this in products like It's Learning, University Oxford Press. There's so many places that are using this now, but for me, I think you can see this. This is a life-changing experience. I use these tools every day. I'm using these features every day. I know I'm speaking a bit fast, but I'm also very passionate. It is. Hopefully you can hear me okay, and it's all good. Just to show you this slide here very quickly. Some people have asked, where is it? Is it there? So just reading out loud alone. Read out loud is available in 5 versions of OneNote, 4 versions of Word, 2 versions of Outlook, Teams, Flipgrid, Whiteboard, Forms, Minecraft Education, Microsoft Lens, because that's the new name for Office Lens, and the Edge browser. That's just reading out loud. For dictation, 3 versions of OneNote, 2 versions of Word, 1 version of Outlook, PowerPoint Desktop, PowerPoint in the web, and Windows 10. The read out loud feature is coming to PowerPoint in the new term. So after Easter time, we're also going to have more dictation features coming over this year. This is going to be so inclusive. It's so empowering. And like I said, for me, yes, I am a third-party user. I do use products that I have paid for. I do not use a dictation product. I'm going to answer that question that I can see on there. Can it be used on PDFs? Yes, it can on Edge. You can press the right mouse button on Edge, on the Edge browser. It will work on a PDF. And Lynn has asked about, is it included in, let me just read that. Will BSA, British Sign Language, be included? So what we have in Microsoft Teams, we have a new feature coming out called Dynamic Mode. So what Dynamic Mode will do is rather than you see that little box of me with my camera, you will actually see me sitting in front of the screen, and actually that will be like I don't know if anyone's like, you can see when you watch some of the briefings on telly, you see also on Facebook, you see the person in front of the screen and doing sign language. Then that is coming. So yes, you can have someone call in and be the sign language person. So hopefully that works. It does. So I want to show you one more feature about PowerPoint, and then I'm going to jump on to some things. PowerPoint is so inclusive in here. Not only does it have closed captions like I've been showing you, so in the subtitle in the slideshow box, we have things like subtitles that can be shown in other languages. We also have PowerPoint Live, which I used this earlier on, where you took a photo of that page that allows you to see things in that page, which is really powerful. Now, I want to show you one feature in PowerPoint, and then I'm going to stop speaking so I can give Jim some time, and that is this. I'm just going to make a new slide. All right. PowerPoint is so accessible. It is, because what I can do is this. Staff meeting. Maths, new line. English, new line. Science, new line. Tea break, new line. Geography, new line. Drama, new line. Music. Using dictation is not just an accessibility tool, it's a productivity tool. That's what you can do as teachers. You can use this feature. That PowerPoint is pretty boring. PowerPoint should never take us such a long time to do. They should never take this much time to do. I've done it using dictation. I'm going to press the designer button. This is using artificial intelligence. It is. And it hasn't worked. Hold on 1 second. That's not worked. No, it always works. Let's just do it one more time. Fingers crossed it's going to work. Yes, it's worked this time. So look at this. What it's done now, it has created a really powerful picture of my staff meeting agenda. It's gave me a picture for a calculator for maths. It's gave me a cup of tea for tea break. This is the best way of making your PowerPoints accessible, because now, me as a dyslexic, I have a visual clue here to decode the world. The word. It's brilliant for me. Like I said, there's so many features there, including in this, like I said, you've got the PowerPoint Coach, which can also help people. You've got this concept of PowerPoint live streaming, which we're doing using the QR code, which is personalized captions to yourself, which is so empowering. This will also allow you to change the language as well, which again, translation, and also sending them emojis to me. So I have audience participation, which is really important, including we get feedback at the end. You'll get this. So useful for our learners and so supportive. All them things makes PowerPoint and communication just a powerful tool. So I'm just going to jump forward to another slide so we can move forward. So what I'd love you all to do is I'd love you to go to education.microsoft.com. In the future, go to it. If you have Microsoft 365, this is a free resource. There's loads of training on there. Use that code. So T-ASB7D4D21, T-ASB7D4D21. I'll show that at the end of the presentation. That will give you 500 points on the Microsoft Educator community, allowing you to get another 500 points to then get your Microsoft Educator Innovator badge. It's all about badges. It's all about doing them courses, getting them badges and showing off to all your fellow teachers. I have a school in Oxford which has got a massive battle going on with their head teacher. Their head teacher is having to spend more time doing training because he keeps losing to all the other teachers, which is a really way to do it. Again, there's some amazing training around around dyslexia on there from Made by Dyslexia, which is really powerful. I'm just going to jump to another slide because I'm running out of time. So everything I've shown you is built in, it's mainstream, it's non-stigmatizing, of course it's free. For me, it's all about putting technology at the heart of learning. We want to create that independent, that foundation for success for our learners, creating independency for them to grow, empowering you as teachers and creative, inclusive environments. That is what it's all about. I'm hoping it's going to go to this page. Is putting technology at the heart of learning with accessibility tools built in for everyone, creates independent learners and ensures all students achieve their full potential. For me, thank you very much for listening. There's my email address. There's my Twitter handle. Follow that. But I've got one more thing to tell you. This training is free for every school as well. If you want me in your school to do this training, go to aka.ms/Arran Dyslexia. Drop me an email, aka.ms/Arran Dyslexia. You've got my email address. Follow me on Twitter. That's your code to get your points. aka.ms/Arran Dyslexia. You can find it. If you want to talk to me for 30 minutes about something in there, it's free for HE, any education institution. Anything from a museum down to a local authority, it's all free. So happy to have a conversation with me. Follow me on Twitter. You'll see loads of things I'm tweeting. I have just tweeted out that the brand new Microsoft Surface Duo, which is the Surface phone, will be available on the 18th of this month. So in 7 days time. So do check that out. I'm hopefully going to be the first customer in the UK to get it. This is all free and it's so empowering. Jim, back over to you. Let me stop talking and let me answer any questions or do your few slides and I'll answer some questions.
Presentation as always, and thank you so much for sharing this technology with everybody. And really what we wanted to do with this webinar and some of the webinar series is bring in people like Arran and talk about all of the different toolbox approach to different technologies that we can use within schools to help our students. So thank you so much for sharing that with us. What I wanted to do was, I know a lot of you who are in here actually got a pen as well. So I just wanted to go through how Arran's talks about using the software on the computer and how our pens can link to the computer as well. I don't know if many of you are aware, but our pens are actually Google partners as well. So this was announced last year at the BET show. And within that, what you can do with the pens, especially this white one here, the white ReaderPen, you can actually connect it to your computer and use it as a data capturing tool to then upload onto the computer screen, which then you can use with all of the different things that Arran's explained today. So you can start to manipulate some of the data, some of the information, and you can use this by using our pens to capture and manipulate that data as well. So anyone who is interested, we are also offering our training. So anyone who's got pens and they're thinking about how to use them in the most effective way, especially the ReaderPen or the exam reader, would be happy to commence some training with you as well and discuss that with you. Julia, do you want to
I was just
hear me okay?
thinking what a great point it was, Jim, that you were making about the ReaderPen being a digital bridge. Basically, if you have got a student who you know is really going to benefit from having those resources that they can work with on the computer, you can use the scanning pen to scan over those texts, and wherever a cursor is flashing, that is where the text will bounce to, and then you can use other accessibility tools should you need to. So I think that's quite a powerful, useful thing. I know I could use it for example, close activities with students who I might be doing a piece of work with. Just easy enough to pick up the appropriate word and drop it into that particular activity. So there are lots of ways that you can use the ReaderPen as part of that bridge between text-based resources and computer-based supported resources as well. And the reason we're Google partners is because Google saw the potential of that. I don't think there's too many other ways that can be done. So great. Wanted to just mention that. I'm happy to just crack on to a couple of slides and share some.
Absolutely, Julia,
Yeah,
and
okay?
crack on to some of the slides. And this is just some of the research that we've done, and how this bridge we're talking about, how we can link the ReaderPen with them. And anyone who has got some orange exam pens would be happy to discuss later on how you can use them in the classroom and at home as well, because we know a lot of you who are in this chat have got lots of pens and you're thinking of the best ways to use them. So we do offer free training as well. So you're welcome to join this free training. Just let us know at the end of the presentation if you are interested in getting kind of the best use of the pens and how you can use them in the most effective way with your students as well.
Well, if we run the survey, if we remember to run the survey.
Oh, I've done it again.
To the info, won't we?
Weren't you meant to run that at the beginning, Jim?
Yes, you can tell. Yeah, 2 dyslexics in one room. My gosh, it's an absolute nightmare. Yes, guys, I'm really sorry. If you don't mind, guys, can I just put up a survey really quickly for you? Here we go. So you should see a survey on the screen. If you could just fill that in a couple of minutes, and then we'll go to Julia's slides, and then we'll ask Arran some questions. And thank you, Arran, for that. It was really interesting actually to see all of the. I didn't know there was like the pictures and stuff. That's really interesting actually.
Yeah, Pitch Dictionary is a cool feature.
Yeah, I thought that was really, really interesting. There's some really great apps in there. Some great features that I found really interesting. I should use Immersive Reader more, really. I use the dictation tool a little bit at times.
Yeah. You should use dictation. Is the thing that I use every day. Without a dictation, I couldn't do my job. So that's the thing. Without that dictation feature,
is that linked to emails?
Yeah. So if you're using Outlook Mac.
Outlook Mac.
Yeah, I don't think it's an Outlook Mac, but if you're using a Mac, if you double tap the function key or triple tap the function key on your keyboard, you get it anyway. You get dictation through Apple.
Yeah.
So that's what I would use.
Okay.
If you're using it, but if you don't do anything, if you're going to do any long documents, just open up a web page in the web. Just open up Word in the web, because that version is just amazing. It is. So.
Because at the minute I'm using like just my phone for kind of notifications for meetings. It's really important for me to kind of with organization to make sure it kind of comes up.
Yeah.
Brilliant. So we've had a few people vote here, Julia.
Well, while people are just finishing off their voting, I will just chat through a couple of things. So one of the slides I was going to talk about was some feedback from Canada. And it was a case where a teacher was doing some online learning with a student. And that online learning was talking about reading and reading enjoyment. And the student had picked up a book. It was something like 5 Nights at Freddy's. I know what that is. But the book was a higher level than the student at home was able to access, the dyslexic learner. And part of the learning program that was going on was spending time to do some one-to-one reading to the teacher. And a ReaderPen had been sent home to help that student with their learning at home. And what happened was the student was absolutely determined they were going to read this particular book, really, really keen to read it. And so what they did was use the ReaderPen to read the words that they could not read themselves. And it meant that there was a very fluid read back session to the teacher. The teacher was then able to talk about decoding that particular word. So that was a really terrific, effective strategy. And I felt that was a really good example of how ReaderPens can be used at home while we're in the situation when we've not got perhaps the support that you might have at school for those learners who perhaps have got an IEP or having that support that they would normally get. ReaderPen is helping with reading at home. And so if you have got exam pens and they are in a cupboard or not being deployed, you might want to think about providing those to go home for those students who really need that, so that they can continue enjoying their reading. And actually at the moment, as much as I really think that everything Arran has showed us is fantastic, I'm also quite keen to get students back into books and physically reading, because we're all spending so much time online using computers at the moment, and I think some of our young people are getting a bit of digital fatigue. So yeah,
I think that's definitely true. It is. I think that is something we have to do, and we have to have that balance. We do. There has to be a balance. But I think the one thing that we've seen with this pandemic is that actually that we have a 21st century intake of students for a 19th century education system, and technology needs to be embedded from the beginning of education. But we also need to embed the foundation first.
Yes, it's forced us into a totally new way of working. We've all had to run to catch up very quickly, which is why your presentation is so valuable, Arran. And I hope that people coming on the sessions today will take advantage of the training that's available to them, because I think there are so many of us trying to catch up quick and we don't necessarily know everything that's available. And when free support is available, we need to take it with both hands. And while I'm mentioning free support, I'll just talk about my role as head of education at Scanning Pens. If you have got pens at school, if you think that you could be implementing their use better in school, I will be happy to train groups of teachers who might be using them within your schools. And so I would suggest that you pop that into the survey if you're putting some feedback in there, because I do have some capacity to support with your training. We want people to be able to use scanning pens at school, at home, to model how to use it and get that implementation right. I think it's imperative that we don't provide supports and then walk away. I know that we're pretty good at that most of the time, but we're in such exceptional circumstances at the moment. I think additional training is called for, and thinking around how we can deploy these resources while we're in hybrid learning situations. How are we doing, Jim? Do you think we've got 49%?
Yeah,
voted
perfect.
in there?
You forgot
So
to add in the lovely TAs as well, Julia. You forgot to add TA, the lovely TAs.
We all know that TAs do so much, don't we? They are there absolutely at the front of these interventions and strategies for support. And yes, absolutely, I'm really happy to talk to TAs, all the teams really, who are involved in supporting reading in school, literacy teachers,
absolutely,
people who are supporting across the curriculum with reading. Absolutely.
Thank you, Julia, and again, thank you so much for your input and joining on the webinar today. So what I will do is open the floor to questions for Arran. I know we're running out a little bit of time because I've seen there's a lot of questions. Do you want me to just pick them out for you, Arran?
Can we do Can we do Nathan's ones first, because Arran asked me to remember that. So.
Can you just read it to me, Julia, or Jim?
I'll read it to you. So
go on.
Do the features on Microsoft Classrooms? Do the features on Microsoft Classrooms?
Do they work on Microsoft Classrooms when students are using Word Online to access assignments that teachers have uploaded?
Yes. So basically, if you're using Teams and access it as an assignment, you can still hear me, can't you, Jim?
Yeah, I can hear
Yeah,
you.
that's fine. That's fine. Sorry, I pressed the wrong button and I didn't know if I turned my mic off. So it's working. That's good. So yeah, if you're using assignments in Teams, yes, it should work. What you need to do is basically is allow the students to open the document. So Immersive Reader will open on what they call a read-only view. Dictation will not work unless it's editable. So that's the only thing on that question. It is. I think George had a really good question. Why is Immersive Reader different online to the versions of MS365 and versions of Word MS365 apps? I stand to be corrected. It doesn't appear to be included on the app version? Question mark. Okay, I don't know why I said the word question marks. The answer to that is this. Okay, let me explain two things. So Microsoft is a cloud-based company. We always start with doing cloud technology first. Cloud technology is easier to develop, so our cloud-based technology will be the first area that we work on. So Immersive Reader is a cloud-based piece of technology. So that has been added into many products. Microsoft Word Desktop, the version that you click on when you press the start button, the one you download, is a legacy app. It's been around for X number of years. It's a really old, what they call, it's a really kind of, it's a big product. So adding things into it, we have to do it very carefully so things don't stop working. So only certain features will be added at certain times. The thing that I always say to people is if you want that desktop version, that's fine, you can have it. But remember, from an education point of view, you have to pay for it. And you have to have a subscription, especially for dictation to work, because you have to be connected to the internet for dictation to work. So the answer to that question is that yes, it is going to be different. Not all the features are going to be the same. And like I showed you that chart, you can see that some things are not in everything, and that's the reason why. They are, but things like read aloud and dictation are in lots of places, and they're using the same engine, and that's the important concept behind it is. So I always say to people, so like I've said, I've got a number of schools, they're using the cloud-based technology and they're getting on with it really well because that makes it easy for them, because it costs a lot of money to it wouldn't cost a lot of money, but it just costs money to buy Word Desktop. It does. Someone asked, is it only available in Outlook 365? So it's available in Microsoft 365. All the features are, and Microsoft 365 is free. It's called an A1 license for every school. Picture Dictionary is only available in the web version it's available in the web version of Immersive Reader. Picture Dictionary is also available on Edge browser, so it will work on the Edge browser. It will do Picture Dictionary. I mentioned about PDFs. I mentioned about BSL. Can you see any other questions, Jim? I'm kind of just scrolling down the list. Oh, someone asked about microphones, didn't they?
Yeah.
Do you need a specific microphone? Right. So microphones are important. If you have a higher end device, so if you have any Surface device in your schools, so any Surface Go laptops, they're cost-effective devices for schools. For students, they have what they call a microphone array in it. If the device is kind of a cheaper device, you'll find that they only have one microphone in it, and you may need a headset. So quality of headset is needed. It is. So that is important. It is. I'm just in.
I'm trying to look for you as well, Arran, to help you out.
That's fine.
Lots of questions we've had.
I know there is, yeah, and there's questions about lots of things. So currently the pens, that's a pen question, and we use Read and Write Gold through Chrome, hoping and that's a cloud service being developed, but it become more functionality. Process that the software is a bit offered is a bit clunky. I think that the thing about what it is, you see, is that like Read and Write is predominantly a desktop product. Yes, it's got a cloud feature, but if you're using Google Chrome and you're using Google Classroom, try using Edge. The Edge browser is a Google platform. It uses the Chromium engine. It's not a Google platform. It uses the Chromium engine, which is really important. It is, so that is really beneficial. If you're right, I'm just reading this. If your daughter has an HCP, then you review with a Senko and get a free trial. Yes, that's really good. I'm just reading if there's any more questions.
I think that's it, isn't it? No.
Yeah. I want to just mention one thing, because I know no one's asked the question, but I will answer it. I will tell people about it. So the Edge browser can be used in an exam. if you're using a PDF paper, of course you can use the exam reader that Scanning Pens has, which is probably can be a different device that can be used in, but you cannot use Dictation under the current exam access arrangements, just because you need to access the internet. So the JCQ don't allow anyone to access the internet, which is a bit sad. It's one of the things that I would love to change. I'm trying to work on it. We're trying to change that, but it is one of them areas, unfortunately, we can't do at the moment. But the concept of Dictation can be very much used for students with the concept of training to use Dictation. So that's where it gets beneficial. It does. So
thanks, Arran.
That's fine. I want to say, someone said about their mind mapping with accessibility built in. Have a play around with OneNote. OneNote has got some really cool accessibility features, and you can do mind mapping. If you've got a touch device, using OneNote and or Microsoft Whiteboard on a touch device is really interesting. So they're the things there. Definitely have a play around with it. Any more questions? Want to ask me? I've put my email address in the chat, so do drop me an email. I know some of you have sent me. Have already added me to Twitter. It's very good, because I used to have people I used to say add me to Twitter at the beginning of my presentation, and when I wore my Apple Watch, all I would do for the first 3 minutes of a presentation was literally put my wrist up and keep looking at my watch and have the notifications. I can't see any more questions coming in, Jim, for me.
No, no problem.
No, that's fine.
Brilliant. Thank you, Arran.
Fine.
Thank you so much for joining the webinar and talking about all the fantastic features on Microsoft. So everyone's asking, so the presentation will be available. We'll get the recording downloaded, and it'll be sent out to all of you. So everyone who's registered, everyone who's attended will get this webinar recording. Are you sending a copy of the presentation to us?
What I'll do is I will send a link to where people can either watch another recording of it, and also some features, some of the links that were in there. So I will get Paula to send that to you.
Brilliant, thank you very much. So we'll have that available for all of you. So just heard that. So Arran will send that to myself, and I'll send that along with the recording for all of you, so you can share that around with colleagues who couldn't attend today. Again, thank you everyone who's answered the questionnaire as well, and anyone who is interested in a trial or some training will get in touch with you. And again, thank you ever so much, Arran, for joining. I want to make this webinar really useful and show you different tools that are available for our students. And Julia, do you want to add anything at all?
Sure. I'd just like to say thank you, everybody. I hope I have offended all of the librarians, teaching assistants and HILTers by not putting you into the survey. I apologise if that's the case. You are the backbone of everything that happens. I know you are. Thank you. And thank you for everybody for joining us today. Appreciate your time.
Brilliant. So we'll close off. So thank you ever so much. Arran, thank you so much.
That's not a problem. Thank you very much.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Take care.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.